For the last 30 days, I threw nothing but MVP discs. Today, I'm gonna show you what's in my bag, what was in my bag at the beginning of the month and why it got replaced, and just talk all things building an MVP bag.
There's 3 keys to disc golf: driving, approaching, and putting. You need all 3 to do this disc sport.
We're gonna start with the putting putters, which for me was a little bit complicated. We started out with this pair of Envies, and honestly, I putted pretty well with them.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh my God! Yes, Brian! Hey, this guy's a certified C2 putter nowadays, baby.
The Envy was kind of a surprise. I literally picked them initially because it was a pair of matching putters. And I'm kind of a little OCD about matching putters. And I was really committed to just spinning them in there. And they worked pretty well. But they're a super beat up pair. And a lot of you guys were like, hey, Brad, you need to try the Atom. And I picked up a pair of Atoms because you're like, it's basically a beat up MVP or a beat up Envy right out of the box. Although the flight, you could argue, is similar, the feel, they're a little more rounded on the top. I don't know if it was just in my head or what, but they never worked for me. I honestly, I putted fine with them, I guess. Doesn't matter when you just ching the shit out of it. Yes. Come on. But it was more of mentally, I couldn't quite get that hand feel. Oh, so we're about halfway through this 30-day challenge, and if I'm being completely honest, I'm kind of over the putters that I was looking for, and I quickly moved on to them. I went to something with a bead, and I grabbed an Ion. And the Ion, although nostalgic as MVP's first putter, it sucks. At least in the putting plastic for putting. And then we finally just made our way to the Pixel, which honestly I probably should have picked first. Yup. Come on, brother. Saw that because I knew I liked the Pixel, but the whole point of this challenge was to find and try things I'm maybe a little less familiar with. So we didn't just want to go with something that I've already actually putted a little bit in the past for maybe a month or so. But in the end, that's what it came down to. The Pixel, they're deep, they're straight, they feel really nice. It's one of MVP's best molds overall, I think. And I kind of realized that I think my issue was less with the molds maybe and more with the MVP putter line plastic. The grip on it just doesn't work for me at all. I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts, I guess. The plastic isn't for me. The Pixel itself is an amazing mold, which brings us to this disc, the Halloween Tour of Terror Pixel. It's great. You can throw it hard. It's got some good stability. It glides. It's very nice. This actually replaced an early favorite, the Nomad. Oh yeah. Now they're a lot different, but I felt like the stabilities were very, very close to where they were more or less dead straight, but they had a little bit of fade at the end. They had a little torque resistance, and the Pixel was just more fun. Oh, I love that so much. That really does have nice stability to kind of push out. And I had been looking forward to this one, and I felt as though I'm just gonna give a little more love to the Pixel, so we ended up going with that. The Pixel wasn't my favorite throwing putter of the month. That 100% goes to the Proxy, specifically the soft Neutron Proxy. Yeah. This is, I think, one of the best throwing putters on the market, and it's just a do-all putter. It really is. Like, it just doesn't have much of an opinion. You kind of just tell it what to do, and it does that. So it's just a very good putter. And then we had the stable complement with the stabilizer, which really like won me over this month a little bit. I call it like a backhand zone. Oof. Yeah, I think that should play. Backhand, it just felt so controlled. I feel like I could really hit it on those little flex lines where it's gonna kind of pan down flat, and it was very consistent and stable. You know, you could throw hyzer approaches with it. Just overall, trustworthy disc. And then fade back. a kind of mid-month, out of nowhere addition, the range, the in the gym range. Yeah, look at that. Really, really nice push. Little upshot spinny guys, forehands. I'm sure you've heard plenty on this disc by now, but it surprised me. You know, everyone said it was a Berg, and although it has this similar feel in thumb track, it's so much less stable. It pushes much more. See how beautiful that is? It's just a good little push. Ah, so simple. It's a fun disc, and this kind of replaced the Tempo, which I didn't bring the one I was bagging with me today, but it was that approach disc on forehands that I was looking for, whereas the Tempo I felt like kind of almost fell into that mid-range category, which brings me to the mid-ranges. We'll start with the Matrix, which is a disc that I felt like the Tempo and the Matrix, they're very similar. They're almost identical. If you had someone close their eyes and you gave them one of each, you probably couldn't tell the difference. And I had two Matrix, and I kind of realized they were just too beat up. They're too flippy for me. There are two discs I had previously thrown, bagged a little bit. Oh no. And I kind of realized that wasn't what I wanted out of the Matrix. But just towards the end of the month here, Tyler Schock gifted me one of his brand new Tour Series Matrix. So I went back into the bag. I think the Matrix is the perfect bridge between the discs, like the Pyro, which is, you know, your go-to overstable but pushy mid-range, one of my favorite categories. And the Pyro is just a great disc. You can't argue with that. You probably saw one of the last videos where we compared it to the Birdie Disc Golf Supply Ultra. Oof. Wow, that's actually so fast. And it's a fantastic disc. It's overstable, consistent. It, you know, really is just that perfect slot of stability. Oh yeah. And then we had the Hex. The Hex stayed in the bag, this one specifically, the whole month. And I really got to learn this one a lot, I feel like. And I really began to trust it. It's a 170 gram, I think, prism rim. I'm not totally sure. But this one was great for just those flat shots, hyzer flip shots, but just flat. And then you knew you're going to get a little drift out of it. That'll play. And then the Echo, which is one of my favorite MVP Streamline Axiom molds, to complement it with a little bit more stability. This one being, I think, like 178 grams. A little more stable. Yeah, come on. That's so good. And I know there was other mids I could have tried, but I really felt like I could just trust that Hex to do most of the work I needed, and then just kind of complement it with a couple other stabilities. That brings us to the Fairway drivers, which was I don't know, not a very used category this month, I felt like. First, we'll start with one of my favorites was the Resistor. It's a 6-speed, 6.5 maybe, I don't know. But it's like a baby Firebird or Fireball, but it's like a big Pyro.
Oh yes, dude. Sit. Oh my God, I think it's parked. You're the best forehander in the world.
In a way, you know, it's that overstable, just trustworthy disc, but it's that weird tweener 6-speed that, you know, is always an interesting speed in disc golf. So this one I really liked. I actually went through a couple of these this month. I had lost one. I lost this one, lost the other beat up one I had. Now, hyzer, get a little skip. Hyzer, I need some ground play. Come on, yes. Take that. Got this one back. I had replaced it with a brand new one, but it wasn't the same because it was too stable. And you know, we got this one back, thankfully, and I really like this disc. It's a great disc. And then up next, the Crave, which I wish I would have got to throw a little bit more this month, but unfortunately the courses I frequented just didn't really call for it, I guess. But we started out with this Crave in the bag, which is a plasma Crave, and it's a little bit more of a stable one. And honestly, I just couldn't figure out if it was gonna go left, if it was gonna go right, if it was gonna go straight. No, I did not.
Yeah, the wind, man.
And I never got to trust it, so what I ended up doing was replacing it with the Space Race Crave, because the Space Race Crave is a flippier crave. So I knew if I threw this one, I was gonna get a little drift to the right, and I could trust it to be that kind of understable crave. The Volt is a disc that was in my bag from day one. I liked it. It's consistent. It's, you know, stable to slightly overstable. Get around the tree.
Yes,
Get
yes,
around the
yes.
tree.
Stay
Get
down,
around the
stay
tree.
down.
Get around the tree. Get around the tree. 20
20.
footer. 20 footer. I didn't get a ton of use out of it, but it's a disc that I felt like if I was throwing MVP, I would definitely bag one, because it's just a consistent fairway driver, and I like that it had a little bit of dome to it to kind of give me a little bit better hand feel than a lot of the MVP fairway drivers would normally give you. Up next we have maybe one of my favorite discs as well. It took me a little time, but once I figured it out, I really clicked with it, and that being the Wrath. The Wrath was a disc I tested the first day, but I threw it on a forehand and I kind of chopped it over, and I was like, ooh, it's not as stable as I thought it was. Wow. I feel like I didn't throw that great, but that flipped a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't love it. And at first I was throwing a patent pending Tesla that probably has a similar stability, and then I lost that. Tried out this plasma Tesla, didn't feel the same, didn't fly the same, and I don't know, something was pulling me towards the Wrath, and I really began to just be able to trust this one on some nice firm hyzer shots. It's gonna push up a little bit.
Did he do it? Oh yeah.
He did enough.
Yeah. That shape was clean.
Good for forehand flip ups. This is kind of that workhorse control driver for me this month. I really liked this one. Another late addition, Vision Fireball. Tyler Schrock gave me this one as well, which actually ended up replacing, did I bring it even? There it is, the Motion. I was throwing a plasma Fireball to begin with. Yeah, it's Motion for me all day, which I think is actually right here. And I liked it. It was fine. You know, it does what you need out of your overstable 9-speed, but then I filmed a video comparing them, and the Motion actually ended up pushing up a little more, a little less stable, which is kind of what I want out of my Firebird style of disc. Okay, that might be closer. This thing's ugly though. Well, y'all can agree on that. And then when I got this one, it only took me one throw to kind of realize, like, okay, that's a nice pushy Fireball. It looks much better. We'll throw that one into the bag. So, nice late addition here with the Vision Fireball. Pretty solid Frisbee. Which brings us to kind of the distance drivers, which I think if you were following along, you know, was interesting. It was tricky, you know. All month I tried out at the beginning, I tried out this Octane here, and I liked it in a tailwind.
Oh, it's good. It's so good, Broad. Go, 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 skip. Oh, that's good.
I tried out this Delirium. I tried out some other stuff as well. I was trying out, what is this even? The Defy. I wanted to like that. The Delirium I felt like it flew really good mid-flight. Like you could just smack it and flip up, kind of go a little bit. Yeah. I like that. Not really much more you can do. It like looked like it was going to go far, and then it never did. And the 14.5 speed rim, I hate. I can't get behind it. It does not feel comfortable. So I slowly took that one out of the bag. And then I had this flat, stable Octane and this kind of domey, flippier Octane. And I liked them. They were fine. But honestly, I didn't trust them too much. So they just kind of sat in the bag until just recently I got this Plasma Octane. And this one I really enjoy. The Octane being a 13 speed, it's still a little faster. I'm usually more of just a 12 and 11 speed type of guy, but this one was more of like a neutral dome, and it was kind of right between these two. And I felt like this one kind of just did the job of what I tried to make these two do. And so we just replaced it. And this one I finally trusted to just be like a smacker of a distance driver. Like I could really smack on this one and trust it, both forehand and backhand. It got to the fairway. I felt like I could, get what I needed out of like a real distance driver with this one. The energy, which is a 13 speed as well. As the month went on, I phased out any faster than 13 speed discs because they just plain and simple didn't feel comfortable. 13404, this thing is beefy. I put it in the bag mainly because I just needed something that I knew I could just smack into a headwind on any, or just big forehand spike or something. I just wanted something I could trust that was a distance driver, and that was kind of the energy. I will say I've thrown a few energies here and there, and this might be, I don't even want to put the word straight and energy in the same sentence, but I've thrown much beefier ones than this. So it did its job, nothing special. The Photon. This is a good disc right here. 11.5, -1, 2.5 in the plasma plastic. I honestly, the Photon to me this month was kind of what I would use like a Firebird for in my normal bag, a little more than even the Fireball or the Motion. Like the Photon and the RAF kind of just blended together to be that beat up Firebird for me. Where the Photon 11 speed, but it feels very comfortable and it's stable. It doesn't have a ton of glide, but you can cover some good distance with it. Forehand, backhand feels great. Love it. Dead center. And I really like this disc. The Photon is a solid option for sure. Which brings us to kind of our last two distance drivers that got a decent bit of work. I feel like kind of going down the stretch here, we got a trace and a domey trace on that, which is, kind of a little tricky to find, but I knew if I could find one, it would be a disc that at least was comfortable for me, being that 11 speed kind of Wraith style disc, and it just feels good in the hand, not being over molded. I am a little more comfortable with that, I guess. And this was a good disc. Why didn't I throw that? That was good. But I think it being brand new, I never quite got to like get it to the point where you'd really start to like it. But I saw Tyler Schrock in the Kayak Blues video. He threw like 3 traces of varying stabilities and really carved some lines with them. So I definitely saw what was capable with the trace, and it's a solid disc. It's 11.5, -1, 2. Overall, it gave me like comfort in the hand feel at least. And then the trail, 10.5, -1, 1. But I've said it, in a few videos this month, but I think the trail honestly might be my farthest flying MVP disc, even though it's only a 10 speed. It flies like a mid-range, but it goes pretty dang far. Get up. Yeah, good skip. See, that is like the shot that I've realized the trail is for. Fan grip, 370, 400 foot, hyzer flip, very, like, it's like you're throwing a mid-range, but it's with a flippy distance driver. It just goes. It's one of MVP's better molds for sure, in my opinion. And it got some good work. It was a very consistent flying disc for me. This specific one was a little flippier than I remember them initially being. So I felt like I could throw a lot of like fan grip flip ups with this, and overall I like this disc. I would say all the distance drivers, didn't love any of them, but I found ones that at least worked. That's the bag at the end of the month here. Now, is there plenty of discs I could have tried as well that I never even got to? Yes, there is. But I tried to get my hands on everything that I at least thought I was interested in. This is just the in the bag. Guys, the series is wrapping down. If you have any questions, I'm going to be doing like a wrap-up episode to kind of answer all questions of this 30-day series. And so if you have a question, please comment it down below. because I want to answer any questions you guys have on my thoughts on MVP. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on the things I didn't like, the things I did like, the mental aspect of this, the things I learned, the things, all things, I guess, MVP in this challenge. So a little bit more in depth in that video to come, but this is just the in the bag, how it changed and kind of what solidified here. I feel like it's a relatively simple lineup, and I'm sure if I had more time, I could figure out a few more discs to maybe fill in some more gaps, or I'd have a little bit more time to maybe beat up a disc like the Trace and really let it shine. But here we are, you know. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. We will see you in the next one.
Creator of Frisbee Club, motherfuckers.
The man, the myth.
And right here, I have a frisbee bag. It holds all my frisbees, the ones I like.